Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is elevator pitches. It is so important to have a 30-second blurb about your business ready to go at a moment's notice. You never want to be in a situation where there's an opportunity to connect with, say, a private money lender or a possible seller, and instead you find yourself tongue-tied. When opportunity knocks, you need to be ready. So here are the 4 parts to create a perfect elevator pitch. Number 1, intro. State your name, business name, and where you do business. Number 2, goal. Share a business goal to pique their interest. Number 3, benefit. What's in it for them? Number 4, call to action. What's their next step? So here's an example. Say you're in the produce section of a grocery store and you overhear an elderly woman and her adult daughter discussing a tree that fell on her house last weekend and how expensive it's going to be to replace her roof prior to moving in just 6 weeks. You roll your cart next to them and say, "Hi, excuse me for intruding, but I overheard you discussing that a tree fell on your house last weekend. How awful. Do you live nearby?" "Oh, you do? Well, my name is Jen, and I'm a real estate solutions expert right here in Raleigh. I'm looking to buy 4 more houses in the next 90 days. Sellers love working with me because I take care of all those costly repairs, and I can close on their timeline. Once I do a quick walkthrough, I can present an offer within 24 hours. I have some availability tomorrow to come by. Would 1 p.m. or 5 p.m. work best for you?" Boom! How awesome was that? So, take some time today and write out a few different versions in which you may meet, say, a contractor, realtor, private money lender, etc. Don't forget to include the intro, a goal, the benefit, and a call to action. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Cindy Veit. Cindy is a wholesaler, lender, landlord, flipper, Airbnb owner, and does deals in her self-directed IRA. She joined HomeVestors 3 years ago. That's the We Buy Ugly Houses franchise. Cindy contributes a lot of her success to a supportive husband of 30 years, not to mention her super systems for following up. So, welcome to the show, Cindy Veit. Yay! And I know it's the German pronunciation of Veit, V-E-I-T.
Yes, that's
Veit.
correct.
Yes, well, welcome. I got to share with my listeners, I know you are on Bigger Pockets, so this just gets me one step closer to, being affiliated with them. I just feel it, so.
Oh, awesome.
So tell us a little bit about you. I see that you are from Chicago.
Yes, born and raised in Chicago, and I met my college sweetheart there. We got married 30 years ago. We celebrate our 30-year anniversary this year. We got tired of the weather, the traffic, and the congestion there. So we moved to North Carolina about 25 years ago and love it. Never looked back.
Awesome. Do you know Franklin Park?
Yes.
So that was my ancestors' farmland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they owned a large part of it. So like the Mannheim School, I guess there's like a stop on the L.
Yes.
Those are all my people. They came from Mannheim, Germany. So yeah, small world.
Oh, Great.
I'm pretty famous, just in case you didn't know. So you're going to talk about a project today and I got to hear a little bit about it before we started. And oh my goodness, people, just buckle up. This is crazy. But I want to know how you got started in real estate. And it had something to do with Fayetteville. So tell me about this.
Well, I worked for IBM about 15 years ago, and we had extra money. And we talked to our financial planner. Hey, we want to buy some land and hopefully it will go up in value. And he said, rather than do that, why don't you buy rentals? And he introduced us to TRIA, and we started doing that.
And
but
TRIA, just for the listeners, that stands for Triangle Real Estate Investor Association. And they have national RIAs all over the country. And so just if you are in Texas, look up REIA to find your local organization. Keep going, sorry.
But we knew in order to get involved in real estate, we needed money. We had a house in Cary, North Carolina, and it had an unfinished attic. My husband's very handy. We did not need the space. My husband went and finished the third floor. We got our house reappraised, and lo and behold, they gave us a line of credit against our house for $154,000. But bam, that's
nice.
Like money to do deals. And so that's how we started buying the rentals. Back then, this is, pre-COVID, 2008, we were able to buy a house cash, fix it up, and then do a cash out refinance in our LLC based on appraised value, all within a period of 30 days.
Wow.
So we did that, and we did it, and we did it, and we did it, and we did it. And we still own several of those rentals to this day, which, as anyone knows, the real estate values have skyrocketed. So just from that one line of credit of $154,000, we borrowed $4.1 million just to do deals.
Oh my gosh.
But because of, having money in 401ks and having money in other things besides real estate, we were able to go to a bank and say, hey, will you lend us money? Well, Wells Fargo gave us a line of credit in our buy and hold LLC. They gave us a line of credit in our flipper LLC. They gave us a line of credit here. And it's like, wow. So then we borrowed another $7.6 million from those things. And that's how I've been able to fund my business. You also have to remember that where I buy, I live in the Raleigh area, but I buy down in Fayetteville. And I can buy a property for $30,000. I can buy a property for $60,000. So I'm turning that money at a lot faster rate than someone might do in a bigger city.
That is amazing. I actually saw you present at a TRIA event one time and how you use the same fixtures, you use the same, and that actually taught me. So like my painters, all my contractors know exactly what colors go on the wall, what goes on the countertops, etc. So thank you for teaching me that, because that was golden, and that just saves a lot of time and effort. I mean, my painter keeps Sherwin-Williams alpaca like in his van for me at all times.
You know what?
By the 5 gallon.
It's funny how people are like, oh my gosh, I want to do this with you. This is so exciting, like to do each house. I'm like, no, this is not a TV show. This is same old shit, different house.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, it's what sells. And I love that you said that, because a lot of people I coach a lot of people just getting started in real estate, and they want to go in and do, these crazy walls and add their own wallpaper here. And it cuts out a lot of the buyers. So I'm glad you said that. That is awesome. So this funding though, are you paying yourself interest on that home equity line of credit?
We do. And my husband handles all the financial part of the business. Our HELOC, I think we pay 3.5%.
And normally, if you were using hard money lender, you'd be paying 9.5%, maybe 8.5%. So awesome. Super
and
smart.
I have no points, and I don't have anyone looking over my shoulder saying, what are you buying? What is it appraised for? What are your repairs going to be? What are you closing at? And that also allows me to purchase these pieces of crap and wholesale them.
I love it. And that's what the HomeVestors does. You do a lot of wholesaling with HomeVestors?
Yes, I do. Another way that I've actually accessed money is we have all these rentals in the Raleigh area that have a lot of equity. I have a commercial loan on them, and at the same time, I was putting the commercial loan on them in my buy and hold LLC. The bank gave us a line of credit against the equity in the house in our flipper LLC. So that's another way that we have access to cash to fund the deals, is the equity that we have in our houses. And that way I'm not paying interest or anything like that on money that's not out. I only pay interest. And again, that interest is only 3 or 4%.
Right. So are you ever stuck when, say you have all your money tied up in projects and then something great comes along, you can't buy it? Or, so what happens in that type of situation? I know you said 4.1 million at one point. Like, holy cow.
Right now, I have access to well over $1 million just using my own money.
Oh my gosh.
And when I'm buying houses at $60,000 or $150,000, that goes a long way.
Yep.
And I'm not holding them for years on end. It's a cycle. And so they flip, that money comes back, flip, that money comes back. So I'm able to self-fund all my deals.
That is amazing. And we are actually going to go into the project here in a second here, but I do have another question. So Fayetteville is what, about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and a half from us?
So I cover 5 counties, and some properties I can get to within 45 minutes.
Okay.
And typically the farthest I'm driving is an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
I listen to podcasts and talk on the phone a lot.
So I know I had heard the story about when you first started, you were funding someone, you were a lender for a deal in Fayetteville, years ago. And you started doing deals together where he would find them, you would fund them. Is that how you grew your workers down there? Like, how did you end up in Fayetteville? That's what I can't figure out.
So I was a lender. I lend money from my self-directed IRA for people to do deals. And I partnered with someone, I funded their deal. The deal actually went south. I didn't make money, but I didn't lose money. But during that, I got a chance to meet the real estate broker who was helping with that transaction. And he had said to me, Cindy, there's a lot of deals down here in Fayetteville. Again, this is, 10, 12 years ago. He's like, there's a lot of deals in Fayetteville. There's just no money here. And he said, there's deals that come up on the MLS all the time. He's like, if I find them, will you fund them? I'm like, okay. And so we would do it, and we'd split the profits 50-50. The Fayetteville market is very different from the Raleigh market. It is a VA-based, it's a military-based business there. That's where Fort Bragg is, the largest military base, Army base in the U.S. And so what happens is people will buy a $100,000 house. They'll get a VA loan on it. Their loan will be $105,000. Their Rottweilers and Pit Bulls take care of the house while they are stationed in Iraq. Then they come home and find out, oh my gosh, look at all this damage. And then they go to sell the house and they realize, I have no equity in the house, because Fayetteville typically does not go up in value. Mm-hmm. So they just get foreclosed on because they know that they're going to go be PCS'd, which means stationed somewhere else for 3 years. And they can get foreclosed on. And then when they come back, their VA voucher is going to be valid again.
Wow.
So foreclosure to a military person isn't as valuable as like a foreclosure to us. That's going to be on our credit for 7 years.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you sharing all that. And that's how you kind of met contractors and stuff. So you don't have to go down there all the time, and you got a team there.
So the guy that I was doing the deals with, it was going great. We were doing 2 or 3 a year. And then he is in the National Guard, and he had to go to Afghanistan.
Wow.
I was like, oof, what am I going to do? And my husband's like, you own a car. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, you own a car. How many have you done? And he's the one that encouraged me. He's like, you can drive, just do it. And so I just did it. And I was very successful buying deals off the MLS and flipping them and, making relationships with contractors there and, good enough where you can trust them and be like, okay, do this house.
That is so impressive. Excellent. I appreciate you taking the time to share that. So I can't wait to get into this deal that we're going to talk about today. And full disclosure to the listeners, you are, you have not even flipped this house yet, but we do want to get into this because for anyone out there who is dealing with, say, a probate situation or wills or estates, you have got to hear about this. This is crazy. And Cindy's hopefully going to tell us what to do because I don't know what to do here, if a family member dies. So how to protect with their investments, if they own anything, etc. So let's talk about this property. First of all, what is it? Is it a house? Is it a condo? Tell me about the property. How many bedrooms and baths, etc.?
It is a single family home. It is 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It is in Sanford, North Carolina, and it's a beautiful custom built house.
Oh.
And this house was built on family land. I went under contract to buy this house in October with John and Sue. John was my main contact for this property. And Sue's parents actually owned this property.
What year was it built?
This house was only built 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So John and Sue built this house on family land. Sue's parents passed away, and John went ahead and paid the siblings, $3,000 and said, I want this land. I want to build my dream house. So that's what he did. He paid each person $3,000, and he built his dream home, a $250,000 beautiful, country house. Well, come to find out, when I went under contract and we did the title search, that the deed still goes back to 1970 when mom and dad owned the land, and it was never deeded properly to the 4 kids.
So quick question. Did they have a house on this land, the parents?
They did have like a little farmhouse. John scraped the land and built his dream house.
Gotcha.
Yes. So come to find out, the people that I went under contract with to buy the house built a house on land that they didn't own. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we had to do the digging of who owns this land. And so mom and dad died. They had 4 kids, and 3 of them were still living. One of them is married to Sue, so that's easy. And then the other 2 are living, so that's easy. They all own a quarter. And then there's the dead brother that owns a quarter because he had a brother, or Sue had a brother, and the brother passed away. Okay, we've established that. Well, the brother wasn't really in contact with the family, and so they didn't know much about him. They kind of lost touch. So he died. They didn't know if he was married at the time. They didn't know if he was divorced. They knew he had 3 kids, but not sure about them. So we found out that the brother died 3 years ago, and we did find out that his death certificate was signed by his wife. Excellent. Let's find his wife. Then we do some more digging. So again, I went under contract in October. So we found out.
When you're under contract, by the way, have you given any money at this point? Like, are you financially invested at this point?
I have to admit, I do contracts and they don't even care what the due diligence or earnest money is. So no, I haven't paid any money.
That's awesome.
I'm spending, time trying to figure this out.
Yes.
So anyways, we found out in December that the wife died. Her name was Mary. So we got a copy. Again, we're trying to dig up all these death certificates, the mom and dad that died, the wife that died. So we found out that the wife of the brother died. Okay. Well, her brother signed the death certificate. Okay, great. Let's go find him. But the way that real estate transfers is that it transfers to the dead brother's wife's mom. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So let's find the mom. She died too. So she did have a will, and she did have an estate file. The brother that died, he did not have a will. He did not have an estate file. So now we got to find out the dead brother's wife's brother.
And
okay, we got to
this is
find
because
him.
he signed the death certificate.
No, this is because that's who the property transfers to. Because remember, the one brother owned 1/4, and he was married at the time of his death.
Okay.
But he also had 3 kids.
Oh my gosh.
The dead brother. And so the dead brother had 3 kids. And oh, by the way, one of those 3 kids were married. So the chain just keeps going and going and going and going. And so we're trying to figure out the chain to find out who's an attorney that can close this. And so we're contacting, my attorney did the title search, and she's like, okay, this is who owns the property. So then I was kind of doing the work. Okay, they own it, then who owns it from them? And so we went to different attorneys, and some attorneys are like, oh, you need to fill out a whole estate file for every person that has died. And oh, by the way, that's going to cost $10,000. And the guy that I'm working with is very handy, but he's not really good with computers and the internet and searching things. So anyways, it wasn't until February 1st that we actually found out who was who. And it wasn't until March 1st that we found out, okay, this is the attorney that we're going to use, and this is how we're going to do it. And so he kept saying, all my siblings know that I own the land. That I own the land, that I own the land. It's like, okay, that's great. We got to get them all to sign. And so typically, if I knew that this would be an easy closing, I would help pay with the attorney fees. But I just didn't know, is he telling the truth? Right. Is he not? So we hired this law firm actually in the Raleigh area, and he is a board certified specialist in real estate. And his job is to fix title issues, find a title insurance company that's going to insure this. And so he does all the title work. Then he passes it back to my attorney so they can close it. They both have to have the same title insurance policy to make sure that all of the work that this guy did is then handed over to my attorney so she can close it. So anyway, so we need to find the dead brother's brother-in-law, which the attorney will only sign documents if this person is in the presence of them.
Oh my gosh.
So you're going all over the state to get these people's signatures. And so needless to say, the person that I've been working with, John, has been in and out of the hospital.
Oh my
diabetes, COVID, he got a toe amputated, jury duty. So this is all going on back and forth. Well, we finally found the missing piece
of his toe.
Because no, we finally found the missing person, and he was up in Hendersonville. We found all the kids. We found all the spouses. We got everyone's signature. We were just waiting for that one brother-in-law, and we finally got him the beginning of July. We finally located him, and we finally got him to sign. And so now we got all that. So my attorney's like, okay, I got the file. There's all these deeds that for every family is recorded. And oh, by the way, the deed goes in. I'm going to share this with you because it's just so incredible how this deed goes. Like, this person passed away intestate, blah, 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 and they're entitled to 1/4. But he was survived by his wife and the 3 children and blah, blah, blah. And then upon his death, they get 1/12, they get 1/18. And then this person passed away. And it just goes on and explains step by step everything that happened with this file so I can get title insurance.
So, quick question. If John and his 3 siblings were alive and just the 3 of them signed it, so the issue was that the brother had passed and they didn't realize it. So it could have just stopped right there by just having those 3 siblings sign it if they were all living and...
Absolutely.
Okay.
We would have been done. Yep.
Well, let me ask this then. 20 years ago when he built this house, what should he have done?
He should have gotten the deed recorded that mom and dad died, and that it passed to the 4 kids, and that the 4 kids now deed it back to John and Sue.
Okay, because John paid them $3,000 or whatever for the land.
Yes, it should have been recorded 20 years ago that John and Sue bought that land with that little shack on it from them, and it should have been recorded, but it wasn't.
And I mean, this has got to happen. Like this isn't like the only case of this happening. So
when you drive down the street and you see an old dilapidated house that, like, you're like, wait, that was nice, and then just keeps, getting worse and worse. A lot of times this is the reason, because people can't get clear title.
Wow.
So it gets a little better. So it's like, woohoo, we got that final signature. We got all the deeds.
And by the way, I asked Cindy before we recorded this, I'm like, are we going to have drinks during this? Because, I'm a little thirsty. And she's like, oh, you're going to need a drink when you hear this story. So let's hear it. Keep going.
So my attorney's like, okay, I got all the deeds. All I have to do is run a updated title search again, because now the property is going to be technically in Sue's name, and just need to run title again and get the title binder on it, and then we're good. She calls me 2 days ago. She's like, Cindy, John has 18 liens against him.
Oh.
She's like, oh my gosh. And I started paying legal bills by now. Because I knew we were so close. Well, come to find out that we put the deed in Sue's name, and because it's only marital rights, John technically does not have to pay all these judgments against him. 18 judgments. But only 10 of them are within the last 10 years, but he doesn't owe it. So anyways, we are closing tomorrow.
Yay.
And I am, like, you asked me the numbers on it. I don't even really know. All I know is that property values have skyrocketed from, August of last year when I put the offer in to now. And I'm just that was just such a great ride to figure it out. It was a learning experience for my attorney, all the attorneys that we went through. And it's like, woohoo, it's a win.
So let me ask this though. It's absolutely a win. What's the purchase price on this one?
$151.
Okay. And what are the repairs?
Carpet and paint and landscaping.
Oh my goodness. And then what's the ARV? Or actually, let me ask this. What was the ARV in October?
Probably about $250.
Okay. And what is it now?
I haven't even looked because it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Like, I am just, I did it.
That is awesome. And where are they living right now? I'm curious. Where are John and Sue?
They are still in the house, okay. And he's actually going to do a rent back because there's a lot of outbuildings, and he owns a business. Probably the reason why there's these judgments against him. Mm-hmm. Oh, and he didn't pay his taxes for the last 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's great. But we're going to close it tomorrow, and I am going to be so happy. And he's going to rent back for a month while he's clearing out the house. And I'm just going to do carpet and paint and do some landscaping and list it and see what this crazy market brings.
Well, hopefully we aren't recording again next month when you're saying I can't get him out of the house, because that's like one of my biggest fears is, and it has happened to us. We rented back to a mother and daughter, and they just issue after issue. So it was tough to get him out of the house. But
what we have learned is that we do put a good amount in escrow with the attorney as rent. And we'll just say rent is $1,000 the first month, then it goes to $2,000, then it goes to $3,000. And I have not had any problems.
That
knock on wood.
Is such a good nugget. Listeners, I learned something just now. So I did not realize that you could increase it each month. So thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. All right. So the big question here is, I have an elderly mother. What do I need to do? Like, what do I have to have in place so that we don't have these issues? Is there something we could do prior to her passing? Knock on wood. Or what has to happen when she passes with her house? Because she does have a house in Apex. So what do we need to do?
So remember, I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving legal advice.
That is true, everybody. Yes.
But
she was on Bigger Pockets. So.
So what I would always recommend to people is, even if you don't think you own anything, you need to have a will. And the will tells people what you want. And so have a will, even if you don't think you have anything. And that's number one. When someone passes away, you need to go to the courthouse and fill out an estate file. An estate file says, this is who I am and these who my heirs are. And you just got to do it. It costs some money, but just do it. And then if you ever inherit property, make sure it is titled properly in your name. Do a title search. Make sure the deed is transferred correctly when you take possession of that property. That way, if you die, your kids die, your kids' kids die, there's a chain of how that title of that property goes.
That is such great advice. So thank you for sharing that. I started this saying, share a past project, but this one was so good and had so many great nuggets for the listeners to learn from. So thank you for sharing this. And I would eventually love to have you back on to hear how it ends when you do sell it. So the second half of the podcast, I like to find out what makes you a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And so the first letter is B, and I want to know a book that has made a huge difference in your life.
Okay. Well, it's actually not a book. It's a movie. Ooh. And it's a movie from 2006.
Okay.
It's The Secret.
Yes.
And
but that is a book. You know that.
I think the book came after the movie. I'm not sure. Whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. But I looked it up today. But I like the movie because I just don't sit and read books very often. But so it's the assembly of writers and philosophers and scientists that share the secret. And that's basically maintaining a positive emotional state, and so that you can attract your desired outcome.
Yes, the law of attraction. And
law of attraction.
My boy Jack Canfield is on that. I'm actually certified to teach his success principles. So I did his whole education program. I love me some Jack Canfield. So big fan of The Secret. I just read, she came out with a second book. It's called The Greatest Secret. Not nearly as good as the first one. So, yes, excellent. All right. The first A in Badass is advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and who gave it to you, if you can remember?
I totally can. He was a guru in Boston, and I signed up with him right before I joined HomeVestors. His name was Tom Caffarella. And it was follow up, follow up, follow up. And one of the biggest things he taught me is when you get a web lead, sometimes you can't get in touch with them right away. You try to call them, you try to text them, you just try their email, you can't get in touch with them. So one of the best advice that he gave me was, you call them, they don't answer, you hang up. You immediately call them again. If they don't answer, you hang up. Then you try a third time in a row, and you would be shocked at the number of people that are like, hello, hey, this is Cindy with HomeVestors. You just went on our website. How can I help you? Oh, hey, hi, Cindy. You think that they're going to be irritated with you, but they're actually happy that they picked up the phone because they had a need. They went on their website and they want you to buy their house. And it's shocking that it works.
That is awesome. I love that. And speaking of following up, how long did it take you to follow up with John and Sue?
That lead is from 3 years ago. It is from 3 years ago. He's like, oh, we're going to move to the mountains. Oh, we're not going to move to the mountains. Oh, my wife doesn't want to get rid of the family home. Oh, we need to get rid of the family home. It's too much work. Oh, another investor is going to buy it. We should close next month. Oh, the other investor is not going to buy it. Oh, it's just, and it's not what you say to this person when you're following up. It's just that you're following up, and you've got to get over that. Like if you're tongue tied on what to leave, what do I leave for a voicemail? What do I say? It's like, it doesn't matter. Just ping them, let them know that you're there in case now is the time that they're ready to sell their house.
That is great advice. I'm so guilty of not doing that. And I think I said John and Ann. Is it John? It's John and Sue. My neighbors are John and Ann. John and Sue, sorry. All right. That is great. And there's something about when they fill out the form online, like if you call within the first 30 seconds and things like that, like you have a much stronger chance as opposed to waiting 30 minutes or even, a day or whatever. So that is great advice. I'm guilty of it. So thank you for inspiring me to do that. The D in badass is drive. What drives Cindy to be successful?
I like family and I like travel. And so with success, you get pride and ownership, but there's also financial rewards. And as my kids are getting older and starting to move out of the house, I realized to get them back under our wing, we need to go on really nice vacations. So then they'll come and we need to pay for it. So
is that how you get Abigail back in the house?
Yeah, exactly. So, we got to go on these nice vacations so that they'll come back home and want to spend time with us. So I do like, spending time with family, and I do like to travel. So that's kind of my drive.
What did you do before real estate? I don't even know.
I worked at IBM.
I think you did say that. You moved down here for IBM.
I didn't move down here. It was one of my jobs, but I hated it. Back at IBM, everyone was going through marital issues, health issues. It was like, why are you working here? And that was when we had a few rentals. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I will figure out how to make this work.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what are some goals you are currently working on?
I want to buy more Airbnbs.
Let's talk about this. I love an Airbnb. And in fact, before we were talking, we were saying how some areas are getting really down on Airbnbs and trying to outlaw them and all that stuff. And you were making some really good points. And so talk a little bit about that, because this was a great conversation. This is important for the listeners to hear.
So for both of us, when we talk about Airbnb, we think, oh, mountains, oh, beach, oh, Colorado. Okay, people get Airbnbs everywhere. And like I said, I buy properties in Fayetteville, which is near a military base. Right now, I have 2 Airbnbs, and I'm starting my 3rd next month. And what we realize is people just want to be together, and it doesn't matter where it is. And I have an Airbnb that would have rented for about $1,700 a month gross, and then you have to pay the property manager. Mm-hmm. And I'm renting it out for about $5,000 a month gross.
On Airbnb. Yep.
On an Airbnb in Sanford, North Carolina.
The metropolis.
The metropolis of. And it's weird because we're getting overflow from the military base. We're getting overflow from Pinehurst. Who knew? And,
I love that you said about the families, because a friend of mine who's in Columbia, South Carolina, they like Airbnbs because they, just like what you said, people want to be together. They want to have a kitchen. They want to go places where, it's still affordable, where they can bring the family dogs, whatever it is. But towns, they're wanting to shut them down because basically I have a long-term rental, just like you said, it makes $1,100 a month. If I turned that into an Airbnb, I could triple that. So it just makes sense for us to make more money that way. But what it does is you have less places for people to rent. And I can understand both sides of it. But we're providing a service because there's those families that want to stay together and travel. And, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I see both sides.
Yep.
But what is the service that's going to replace this for people? Mm-hmm. They want to travel together, and especially with COVID, you have people that don't want to stay in hotels. So I don't know. I'm going to ride the wave while it's there.
Yep.
And if it ends, I'll have a lot of furniture.
That is so true. We hoard furniture. We're like, oh, in case we get another Airbnb. I'm like, and we just got our second storage unit, so we have an issue. All right. The next one, the first S is systems. And I know you like to do the follow-up system, but do you have any other systems that help you to achieve success?
So one of the things that guy, Tom Caffarella, said is, if you're going to join our program and we're going to give you leads, you need to have a CRM called Follow Up Boss. And it tells me what to do and when.
Nice.
When I get a lead in, this is what I need to do. When I get a contract, when I get a property under contract, these are the steps I need to do. When I'm wholesaling a property, this is what I need to do. And you know how you sometimes forget, like, oh my gosh, I forgot to get insurance on this property. Or you're like, oh, I forgot to have the utilities switched over.
Utilities.
Yeah, you
I
just forget this stuff. Like stupid things like, oh my gosh, I forgot to wire money. I'm buying a house today. You know, you forget those things. So the follow-up boss tells you what to do. And it's kind of a joke between me and my husband, because we'll be like, so did your boss say you're done for the day? You know, did I do all the things on my to-do list so I can go play? So it's whatever you do, if you're going to do any marketing, you need to have a follow-up system. And a follow-up system is only as good as if you follow it.
Yes.
It sounds so novel, but so many people are like, I'm going to build this CRM and it's going to do this, this, and this. It's like, well, if you don't listen to what it tells you, then it's useless.
Absolutely. So is that something people can buy, or is that just through that guy's program?
No, it's used a lot for realtors, actually.
Follow Up Boss.
Yes.
I've never
it's
heard
the
of
bomb.
That. Oh.
Yes, I've actually put a lot of people onto it because it's like really easy to use, and I need that.
That is awesome.
And it's like you got this drop down, like, do you want to call the person in a day? Do you want to call them in 3 days? Do you want to call them in a week, a month? And it's really good.
That is, I have to check that one out. All right. The final S in badass is success. What does success mean to you?
I want to enjoy what we've worked for. My husband's going to be retiring in the next 5 years. And I think success would be to be able to pass the business on to my kids and be their coach. And I want to go live in other countries, but if I can go be their lender, if I can go be their mentor while they're still running the business, I think that would be success for me.
I love that. And I mentioned Abigail before. What is your other daughter's name?
Lindsay.
But Abigail, who I met, she is house hacking now. So she's already got the bug to do the real estate thing. I think that's fantastic.
She does. And I don't think it'll be long before the younger one also does, when she realizes the freedom that you have when you can do real estate. You know, how many vacations did I go on last year? And I'm still buying houses.
That is awesome. So what is the best way for listeners to find you if they want to, reach out, ask you some questions, or, sell you a property that has 1/8 of a, what is it? Not
1/18.
1/18.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
It's crazy. I'm going to give out my phone number. I am in the car all the time, and I don't mind. I talk on the phone all the time, and it's amazing the number of people that don't want to pick up the phone because they don't. But my cell number is 919-454-3521, and my email is cindy.veit, that's V as in Victor, EIT, @HomeVestors.com.
That is awesome. Thank you, Cindy, so much. I am a big fan of yours. I do appreciate your time. So again, I would love to have you a month from now to hear if those people are still living in the house. I don't want to jinx it. But,
sounds good.
So thank you so much. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.